Welcome back to A People's Guide to Publishing. I'm Joe Beal, the founder and CEO of Microcosm Publishing and Distribution. I'm also the author of A People's Guide to Publishing, which distills what I've learned from selling millions of books over the past 25 years.
I'm Ellie Blue. I'm the editorial and marketing director here at Microcosm. We are an independent mid-list publisher based in Portland, Oregon, and Cleveland, Ohio. We have over 700 books, over 25 employees, and we make about 40 new books every year. And we distribute thousands of titles from other publishers.
We started this podcast so that we can share what we've learned with newer publishers so that you can learn from our mistakes.
Or maybe you just want to understand the publishing industry.
This week, we are going to talk about what we learned at Las Vegas Market.
We went to Las Vegas Market.
As you can tell, the evidence is that I have not shaved.
And I'm wearing a blazer. What's happening to us?
And I'm still wearing my sweatshirt. In August.
So I'll just ask the question that people have been asking me ever since we said we were going to Las Vegas Market. What is Las Vegas Market?
Excellent question, Ellie. Las Vegas Market is the somewhat premier West Coast show for gift retailers to learn about new gift lines.
Whoa. Let's roll that back. What do you mean by gift?
Stuff. So, gift, it sort of has like a trifecta of meanings here. So, gift, first and foremost, means something that you would buy impulsively for somebody else, meaning like you didn't go to the store to buy a copy of H's for Hawk. You went to the store because like your aunt's birthday was coming up pretty soon, and like she likes birds, but you didn't really know what you were gonna get her. Mm-hmm. And so stores in this realm, they do kind of general interest gift, which is meaning like it's a boutique type store typically that knows they need new seasonal lines, and their customers are like a little more cutting edge and demanding and hip than the general public. So, that's like, I don't know, when you see like a napkin that says the F word on it, or when you like, I don't know, you see like these t-shirts that like, and it's, I don't know why I'm stuck on birds, but it'll be like a robin and
put a bird on it.
You put a bird on it. Mm-hmm. Put a bird on it was certainly a craze at Las Vegas Market. But
they're still putting birds on it.
They are indeed.
I guess it's helpful for me to understand gift in comparison to specialty, which is like, I guess specialty focuses on one interest, like a record store, an outdoors store, or a tableware store. Like
specialty is using books to communicate the mission statement of the organization.
And things other than books.
Yeah, but that's how this is a publishing podcast, Eleanor.
Yeah, but books are like the minority here. And
that's an excellent point that I'm glad you brought up. So when we went to the Northwest gift show, which I cannot remember the name of, which was probably called like Seattle Market or something.
I forgot, yeah.
That fun. I was completely shocked that like the vast majority of the floor was like porcelain, Mally's chocolate, Cleveland represent, plastic spiders.
Right.
Like things that
polished rocks.
I would consider, I mean, not quite garbage, but like not something that you would love like a book.
Right. And
if I may.
There are other book publishers at these big gift shows, but it's usually like the big five, or at least the really big independents. Yeah,
and I to your latter point, the big independents do much better at these things, I think, than the big five do, because this is sort of like market saturation they can both latch onto and seep into, whereas the big five rely more on like a scattershot approach, And
I mean, most books being published are not gift books. Mm-hmm. Or at least they're not developed as gift books.
Mm-hmm. It's true. And publishers will have like their own gift catalog. So like Ingram Publisher Services has like a gift catalog, and it's, a good 1/2 inch minimum thick. And, and it has, a dozen books on each page or so, sometimes more. And, so that's a lot of books. And then, similarly, IPG has one, and, just about anybody you could name. And they will have a separate gift catalog from their general trade catalog, which is the catalog they use for bookstores.
So thanks to Joe's strategic planning over the years, Microcosm publishes pretty much only gift books. We have a few non-gift books.
If you go far enough back or outside my areas of rule. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess we have some like textbooks and books of... But yeah, most of our books are intended and packaged as gifts. That's why they look like pieces of candy. Mm-hmm. Brightly colored, bold titles, bold covers.
Yeah.
And so we do very well in the gift market. And that's why we went to Las Vegas.
And so, they're outside of stores that have a more, I don't know, I wouldn't want to say mainstream because we're the most mainstream thing that ever was.
We are such norms.
But the only real problem we run into in an outlet like that, where most people walk up and are like, oh, I love these. You make these? That's incredible. And that's normally how it goes. And then they tell you what they want to buy. Except for the stores that are like, I am in the Bible Belt, and while I think these are very interesting, my customers would be horrified by them. And you're like, I feel so sorry for you.
We do get like a considerable amount of drive-by Jesus-y glaring as well.
We get that. I'm less concerned with that.
I feel like Jesus would have been into our books.
See, as I wrote...
Swearing and healing trauma? Like, where
Jesus would have been into our books. That's a good point. I never would have thought of it like that. Yeah, I guess that's...
Kicking over the tables of capitalism.
My upbringing all over again.
Sorry. Too much truth.
But, you get this a lot where the real advantage there is when you tell people who you are and what you believe in and what you stand for and what they're going to get out of it. Well, let's disregard that last point for now. That also, it achieves two things. It's like a magnet for the right people and it's a magnet for the wrong people, meaning magnets also repel for those who are less into science and more into ICP. So you drive away the traffic you don't want, which is like incredible. Like you don't, like, I know that things are going badly when somebody comes up and they're like, oh, cool, children's books. And I'm like, not really, no. And then, it's about the first time that they find, like, say, Unfuck Your Brain or whatever, that they're like, how are you allowed in here, Or the post-structuralist vulva coloring book or what have you, that they realize they should be upset with me, not excited to see me. And so, you want to employ that as strategy rather than, I don't know, anything else, really.
So, let's talk about, the particulars of the gift show, because I feel like it's such, a specific world, and most people walking into that would not be like, oh, I understand what this is all about and how you do it.
That's a great point.
Yeah. So, I guess if you've been to, a publishing trade show, it's a little bit like that, but, 100,000 times the size.
Yeah, that's true. Most publishing, even when Book Expo existed, that was... Well, I guess Book Expo was once... It still wasn't this big, but it was bigger than any publishing show. But the gift show, and this is not even the biggest gift show. So New York and Atlanta have bigger gift shows.
But the Vegas one, it fills up 3 18-story buildings, and each floor is laid out like a mall, and it has these glass-walled showrooms. It has 20 of them each floor, maybe more.
It's a mall for malls. Did you ever wonder where malls went shopping?
It's true.
It's at the Las Vegas gift show.
And you can't, not just anyone can go in, you have to prove that you're a buyer for a business.
Which leads to some very entertaining Yelp reviews, such as, they really need to let the general public in here. They would make so much money.
I know, our Lyft driver was like, oh, I could go buy a half-price bed. Everything's wholesale. And we were like, well, that doesn't know.
Right. And you're like, you could buy 10 half-priced bed sets.
And honestly, he would probably be a better bed salesman than a Lyft driver.
That's true. That's very true. But so, and then the last time we attended, there were 2 spillover airplane hangars where all of the DIY vendors were put who don't have permanent showrooms, who would set up and tear down at the end.
Oh yeah, but that had shrunk due to COVID.
Yeah, and that just blew my mind. I was like, this thing outgrew its thing.
So it's expensive. I have definitely. So we got to rent a part of a cooperative showroom. So there's 20 vendors in one of these showrooms on the 10th floor. It's called the Wild Rumpus Room, and it's all like independent vendors. There's like people who make greeting cards, people who sell vintage clothing, people who like, you know, make jewelry, and like, you know, weirdos like us, which honestly isn't saying much at the gift show because there's not a lot of weird or cool stuff there. Like there just isn't. Like you walk through a lot of it and you're like, I'm at the mall. But then, you walk into our room and you're like, oh, this is where people are, like, kind of having fun and putting their heart into it.
And we ended up there because we went to this in the past and we were like, oh, relatable people in a sea of, like, plastic.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, helpful in the sense. So, you know, we do that, you know, to find new accounts and to put our books in new stores and to, like, reignite stores that haven't ordered in a while and just, you know, to show what new books we've published. You know, it's sort of the same thing. And honestly, it's not nearly as expensive as like a library show or any number of other things that, you know, you do in publishing.
But when you run a showroom, it's like permanent year-round. It's open. I mean, it's not necessarily unlocked all the time. Like anyone in our showroom could unlock it and bring customers in and they could look at everybody's stuff. But like we pay monthly rent on it, which is more than I've paid for some apartments that I've rented, and it's much smaller.
Yeah.
But it's also like you don't have to set up and tear down at the beginning and end of each event, and we can kind of use it like a storage unit for other events in Vegas, which is super nice. Yeah. So, you know, there's
excellent points.
It's definitely not something you do when you're just starting out.
No, but it is something if once you've got your lines dialed in and you need customers, that's like where you go for that.
And like what your goal is to do at the show is sit there and write orders all day. Like customer, and sometimes that's just like, I was kind of shocked to see like the very first person that walked up to us and showed any interest was like, they opened the interaction by being like, I'll take 2 of this and 4 of this and 6 of this. And, you know, we were like, okay, writing it all down. But like a lot of people are just going to browse and like take a catalog or a business card for later. But plenty of people are there to buy.
Yeah, I mean, that's why anybody's there is to buy. It's just like you might not be the person they're buying from.
And they're not like buying the stuff you have on hand. They're like placing an order and then you ship it to them and you bill them later and all that. You just have samples there.
And on that note, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us once again.
Please send your questions to podcast@microcosmpublishing.com so we can answer them on future episodes.
And please give us 5 stars on iTunes and everywhere else that podcasts are reviewed.
You can find us on the internet at microcosm.pub.
On Twitter at Microcosm.
On Facebook at Microcosm Publishing.
On Instagram at Microcosm_pub.
And here in Portland, Oregon on North Williams Avenue.
Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful week.